buenos días. Good morning, everyone. It's weird to talk in English in the beautiful Spain. So, my dearest Fabian, we need to improve so that next year everyone can speak in English so that we can deliver our Spanish words. So, thank you everyone for being here. On behalf of the UNWTO, I was missing something, so thank you. It's our pleasure to be here today, sharing some views. Thank you, of course, to the government of Spain, to Tour España, to Fabian, to our colleagues from WTTC. And basically, today, I would like to share what are the views that we have in UNWTO in general. Today, it's a gathering of the private sector, speaking about the power of added value tourism. So we would like to share some views when it comes to tourism in general. So where is the world when it comes to tourism investments? First of all, before I start speaking about about tourism, I would like to start by sharing with you some views of where is the world when it comes to investments. And the panorama is the panorama. The reality is that the geopolitics are not helping us today. And of course, as you have seen, the global foreign direct investment in the world grew by 64% in 2021. Nonetheless, this year, foreign direct investment in all the sectors of the economy dropped. And basically, when we see this, it's hard to say, but due to the fact the war is in Europe, because it's in Ukraine, all of us know, for the first time in history, the more mature region in the world, that is Europe, dropped when it comes to when it comes to general investments. So this is a strong message, because of course, without confidence, without trust, without security, we cannot assure sustainable tourism. So, however, despite the fact investments are in all the sectors are falling, we have to say that developing countries are experiencing a strong opportunity. 70% of the world investments are going to developing countries. So that's a very strong message. On the other fact, when it comes to the service subsector where tourism is, the value announced of greenfield projects grew by 68%. So we can say that the economy is shaking today due to the geopolitics. Nonetheless, tourism is still playing a strong role. And when it comes to tourism, when it comes to the world in general, we have seen that, of course, the investors are the more mature countries. So you can see that by far the US is the top investor of the world. Second one is China. Third one is Japan. Fourth, Germany. So the more mature countries are still being the more mature investors. Nonetheless, they are investing in developing countries. What is happening in tourism? In tourism, I love the panorama, to be honest, because it's absolutely different. So when it comes to investments, for the last 5 years, we have had more than 2,400 greenfield projects that have been announced. 388,000 million jobs were created thanks to investments in tourism. But here there's a strong fact. 66% of the whole investments are focused in hotel infrastructure. 66%. So I don't know, what do you think? But maybe it's time to diversify. Of course, investing in hotels is incredible, but we cannot leave the human part. We are the most human economic sector, so more than ever, we need to redefine the way we invest in this sector. So of course, when we see again we have the panorama of the world, and I love this because Europe is by far, in this case, the more mature. 50% of tourism comes to Europe. And Europe by far is the more advanced region when it comes to private equity investments, private investments in infrastructure. $51 billion were invested in tourism in Europe. So the message here is absolutely different from the rest sectors of the economy. When you go to North America, only $10 billion were invested. And if you see, investors are seeking investments in Latin America and the Caribbean more than in the US. $27 billion were invested in Latin America, an emerging region when it comes to tourism. $65 billion were invested in Asia Pacific, another emerging region, and Middle East. $12 billion were invested in the Middle East. So again, here, the message is really strong. The more mature countries are still investing, but again, the emerging destinations are more visible and are achieving historic tourism investments. So when we see who are the big players when it comes to tourism investments, I have to say, again, we have the US, UK, Spain, of course, France, and this makes a lot of sense because, of course, they are the more powerful countries when it comes to tourism. But we have the case of Saudi Arabia, for example. Saudi Arabia, yesterday they won the Expo 2030, and as you all have seen, they have been investing and doing public investments in order to refine their economy. So when we see the data, Saudi, for example, have increased their investments in 80%. So it's unbelievable what is happening in emerging countries like that. And this is a strong message for the mature countries. There's a strong opportunity to share knowledge, to help emerging countries on how to lead that path and to develop new destinations with the experience that the European countries have. And of course, when it comes to receiving investments, we can see as well, Spain is having a strong role, and not only on investments. Spain, for example, is an example when it comes to job creation, added value job creation, and you have seen that. Spain today is maybe one of the most powerful countries when it comes to added value jobs in hospitality. So that's a strong point as well. Mexico as well is leading the way in Latin America in creating jobs, not only on investing, but we need more. So when it comes to the subsectors, I already mentioned 66% of the investments in tourism goes to infrastructure, to hotel infrastructure, 16% goes to technology, and 9% goes to entertainment. By far, we need to diversify because we cannot concentrate only on creating hotels. That's amazing again, but it's not the only subsector that we have. Of course, this has an explanation. Of course, for private equity and all the ones that are on investments today knows pretty well what I am going to say. Investing in services is more challenging because, of course, talking to an investor and selling a service is more difficult than selling a good. And of course, a hotel is something tangible that can help to sell easier. But today we have that challenge to sell more and to diversify more the tourism investments. For example, in tourism technology, this is incredible. During COVID times, remember that tourism dropped by 74%. Nonetheless, the indicator that maintained stable and that grew was the investment in technology and startups. And that's unbelievable because only the last year, and we can see this, investment in technology in tourism grew until $20 billion. And that's incredible because there's where we have added value jobs as well through the startups, through the youth empowerment. And we can see that here North America is leading the way. 41% of the investment in technology goes to the US. Second player is Asia Pacific because of China, 34%. And the third player is Europe. And when we see the panorama of the unicorns, those mature startups in tourism, we can see that they are all concentrated in the US and in India. So I always send this message. If Europe concentrates 50% of tourism worldwide, why don't we have more scale-ups? Why don't we have more unicorns here? We need to work more, and that's why I'm talking about diversification. We need more startups. We need more scale-ups in order to diversify this pipeline. Of course, Latin American technology is almost invisible, the Middle East and Africa as well. We need as well to diversify the way we help the emerging destinations in order to have aligned technologies. Then, today, when we are promoting investments in general, the private sector, normally speaking, what it's expecting from the governments are financial and tax incentives, government regulations, investment strategies. But to us in the UNWTO, we feel that this is a little bit traditional. And if we want to change those data, if we want to accelerate tourism growth, we need to change the model. Of course, this is incredible, but we need to challenge our public-private collaborations and to be more ambitious on the way we create the tourism investment framework. We need, and for us, these are the keys: people, planet, and prosperity. People, because of course, now I will explain why people is key in tourism investments. Planet, of course, because they are the natural resources, and without the natural resources, we don't have tourism. And prosperity, that is everything related to technology and innovation. So, people, I don't know if you know, but tourism is top employer of youth. Nonetheless, 50% of youth working in tourism only have secondary school. 2/3 of Europeans working in tourism only have secondary schools. So, don't you think that we need to invest in people in order to help to create added value jobs? We need, and this is not only a challenge for Europe, this is a global challenge. We need to include tourism education as part of everything that we do. Not only in the public schools, not only in the universities, but also in the strategies of all the corporations that are working in tourism. Because if we don't do this, we won't work on having a good perception for the youth. During the last month, I have been reviewing one survey from Google, and besides or despite the fact that tourism is a top employer of youth, when you go and you ask the youth, what do you want to study? In the top 3, you have law, business, and medicine. Tourism doesn't exist. So we need here to invest not only a lot, but also to commit ourselves on training a better generation full of tourism, because if not, the salaries won't be good, the perception, of course, won't be good, so we cannot talk about sustainability. Then, on planet as well, I already spoke, 66% of investments goes to hotel infrastructure. Nonetheless, only 25% of hotels have a climate change strategy. So we need to align efforts as well, as WTTC was mentioning before. We need to improve on the way we create sustainable infrastructure, and the market is there. We have $24 trillion in the market from private equity focused on green investments. So the market is there, the business is there, we need to activate it and to work together. And on prosperity, again, our youth. I don't know if you know, but we did a survey with MasterCard, and 50% of SMEs in tourism invest less than $5,000 in digital transformation. So if we know, if the data is showing us that tourism technology is a must, that is in the present, we need as well, not only to create startups, but also to help the SMEs. That is the backbone of tourism. 80% of the tourism chain is created thanks to SMEs. But if they don't invest, because of course they don't know how, and they don't have the budget to invest in technology, we can have strong and big companies here, but if we don't have the SMEs aligned and digitized, we cannot talk again about sustainability. So we are doing a lot of efforts, and we have, for each pillar, for people, we are working actively with the governments to create different academies, to join efforts, and maybe the most important budget of the UNWTO is going today to education. And our idea is to train at least 200,000 people in the next years, because we really want to professionalize the sector. In prosperity, we have a program. Each of you can join us. That is the Digital Futures Program. It's a program where SMEs can achieve and can get for free digital tools and digital knowledge to mind that gap. We have the startup competitions as well. And in sustainability and in green investments, we are working as well to create different frameworks with the governments in order to assure that private sector that is interested in creating sustainable investments can get, of course, incentives and opportunities when it comes to different countries. So that's why I wanted to present today what we are doing in general. I would like to send this message and to invite all of you to join the UNWTO programs for the private sector. Investors and investments is our priority. And I would like to end by saying what I already said, but to us is really strong. If this is the most human economic sector, we need to lead by example. So people need to be in the center, yes or yes. Second of all, our planet, of course, is our house. But again, I don't know if you know, I love data, as you can see. Maybe I could start again and study mathematics or other kind of data. But I love data because it's the only way on how you can open your mind. And when it comes to planet as well, I read from one study that says that 50% of UNEP, that 50% of the pollution in the Mediterranean is developed in August. That as well is our strong season in Europe. So again, if we don't preserve our natural resources, if we don't do something, we cannot talk about sustainability. And last but not least, our youth is the only way to achieve prosperity, because we are, because I'm young, or at least I feel I'm young. The youngest generations are the present, are not the future. If we want to assure prosperity, if we are the top employers, we need to give them opportunities. We cannot remain them in the last part of the story. So this is basically our key messages for today. Again, I would like to thank Fabian to give us the opportunity to share with the private sector what we are doing. And again, you are welcome. The UNWTO is your house, is the UN House of Tourism. So let's work together to make tourism investments a reality when we can lead by example and creating a new methodology that can serve and can impact our new generations. Thank you so much.